Hey Bat fans, Luke here, ready to bat chat about another Bat story, and today we're going to take a look at Batman Gotham County Line, which was written by Steve Niles, with art by Scott Hampton, and colors by Jose Villarrubia. Hopefully I just didn't butcher the crap out of. So Batman Gotham County Line. This is collected in a trade, which was originally released, I believe, circa 2005, and it was just a short 3-issue standalone, I guess, prestige format release. And this trade collects all 3 of those issues. Talk about the creative team. Steve Niles. Steve Niles is a horror writer, kind of put it bluntly. You would most notably know him from the story 30 Days of Night, you know, the vampire story set in Alaska where there's no sun for 30 days and the vampires run amok, hunting down humans and all that good stuff. Him and Ben Templesmith starting off the story. I think Steve Niles kind of carries on post Templesmith, because obviously Templesmith doesn't stay on something very long. But pretty much creative force behind 30 Days of Night. Also, most recently, he did a release from Image Comics called Winnebago Graveyard, which is, I think, was only 4 issues if I remember correctly. Kind of like a satanic cult type story. Again, grounded in horror, which I enjoyed, and I would say I think it just got released in trade paperback. So if you come across that one, if you like your horror type of story, definitely pick that one up. But that's Steve Niles. Scott Hampton. The only thing of note I can kind of put, I think he did some Sandman work, but also I think he's tied to some of the work in Gotham, Night Cries. Way back, I did a story, a video about Night Cries. Kind of did a lot of painting style, and I have to double tap that, but if I remember correctly on the credits, he was kind of credited toward that story as well. So anyway, that's the creative team. Jose V, I'll just call him Jose V. The name off the top of my head, can't remember any work for his colors. But what Batman Gotham County Line is, with you got the creative force of Steve Niles, you know you're going to get a horror story. And this one is, in essence, a horror story grounded in detective work as well. So you get a good balance. And this is what I like about this story, because Batman, he really does lend himself well to the horror theme. And I think more than probably almost any other DC character, and let me rephrase that, because there's some like people actually show in here. We'll just say of the mainstay, the main stage characters. You don't think you would see too much of a Flash on a horror story, or Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, probably not. More sci-fi with him. Green Arrow, maybe. You've seen a little bit, just a tiny bit, in the Rebirth one with Percy with the nice circle. But when it comes down to horror, I think Batman really lends himself well to that type of story. And this one, again, really bounces really well the aspects of what really makes Batman Batman. One of which being the detective aspect. This is a really detective-heavy, grounded story, and again balances the horror element as well. And what basically we have in this story is Batman's removed from Gotham proper as we know it. He's working with law enforcement in this book, but not the GCPD. He's working with the sheriff's department on the outskirts of Gotham, so kind of using Jim Gordon, kind of bringing it to his attention, and he's coordinating with the local sheriff's department outside of Gotham proper. And which brings up where, if you kind of have like a Bat timeline, I kind of have a Batman timeline, and kind of borrowed it from some of the key people, kind of keep their own timelines, like Andrew Cutter too and whatnot. But I'm a historian, so I kind of like to keep things in like a historic concept as perspective. I mean, not really in release of chronological release, but maybe more in the career, kind of introducing that aspect into my reading, and kind of looking at this story. You can, I guess, consider a canon, even though it deals more with the horror and some of the things that kind of delved in it. Might not think you'd be too steep in the realism aspect of storytelling, but still, there's things to kind of consider. The Joker's in this. So if you're trying to figure it out off, so you're going past him. Robin, Jason Todd does show up after he died, and clearly you'll see why. It's clearly after he died. And then Batman references Gordon being retired. So you can kind of put this circa, I kind of looked at it, my timeline, right around the New Gotham era, right after, the legacy and all that good stuff. So right around New Gotham is kind of where I would put this story. And what happens in this story, again, there's a bunch of murders going on. First off, you open up, and it's Batman fighting the Joker. And at first, you're going to probably roll your eyes a little bit. You're like, oh, it's another Joker story. But Joker's really only in this for the first 6 or 8 pages of the story. And right off the bat, you get the feel of the art that you're going to get in. And right off the bat, this is where I also will give credit to Jose V, the colorist. The colors in this story just really match, the theme of the story that's really going into. So it really lends well to the overall feel that's being delivered by Niles and Hampton. But all the Joker really does, it kind of plants the theme of the story in the forefront as you're kind of reading it. And at first you're reading it, you're kind of like, you might kind of overglance it, but once you kind of read through the story, you get the theme that the Joker was kind of getting at. And it's more of the deal with the afterlife. And this brings up a good point about the afterlife in Batman, because Batman being a real scientific, grounded individual, and in that the play of God or heaven or hell, or even like the afterlife itself, Bruce might be kind of dismissive of that concept. Because with him, it's it's fact, it's science, it's detective work, it's grounded into what can be proven definitively or not. It's a yes or no. There's really no. It's anything out of black and white with him might not have any realism to it, but it does bring this up, and this is even after the interaction with the Joker. Batman does try to do a little bit of research through Alfred, the whole thing with the afterlife, and it turns out to be nothing that can be scientifically proven, so he immediately dismisses it. But this is when he gets a call from Jim Gordon. This is what I'm talking about, him being retired. He shows up in slippers. Even Batman kind of throws a jab at him about wearing slippers. But this is where you find out that there's these murders that are happening. First, it's actually initially a bunch of robberies that are occurring. But the people who end up getting robbed end up getting murdered as well. And when Batman does his detective work, he deduces that this is done by not the same person. This is definitely a partnership crime, or maybe not a partnership, but definitely the robbery and the murders are not being done by the same person. You do get the introduction of the like Iron Man suit, glider, projector, whatever you want to call it, in this. But we find out, again, initially, Batman does definitely deduce that this is not one and the same person committing these two crimes when it deals with these people. This actually happens, I think they said like 5 times in a week, where someone got robbed and then later were killed. And you find out there's like these like rituals that are dealing with the murder part of the crime that really gets Batman to do some detective work. Initially, the person that they thought was committing the crimes with the robberies does turn out to be like a drug addict who does beat the case through a technicality. But we do find out at the end of the day what happens is the person that is committing these murders turns out to be one of the cops and working with, I can't remember if he was a deputy or not. I just said, let's see, that part I did forget to look when he shows him the badge. I might be sitting there now wasting too much time, because I think it should be coming up when he has the badge, or he initially fights him off. GCPD. So it is not someone in the police department. It is a member of the GCPD who's committing crimes that the sheriff department is investigating. But you find out the person who's committing these murders is the person that kind of triggers the rest of the story. And this is where, once we get this point when Batman kind of finds out who it is, you find out that he commits suicide. But then this is where the story takes a weird twist. I mean, like, weird twist. And that Batman starts having all these visions, and that all these dead people as you see kind of here in this one panel right here, that's a person who killed himself. Ends up coming back to life, and then now Batman's dealing with like the undead in these visions as you see him, the Batcave getting overrun by all these zombies. And basically what had happened, we do see, and you kind of almost see this coming in a little bit, all these dead people again coming back to life. You do see a dead man show up, and Batman kind of served as like the surrogate, guide for Batman, as we find out that this is now kind of like a twisted reality where this person that was committing all those murders is now, through a plot device you see in here, which I thought was kind of a cheap ploy, but kind of drug Batman. So Batman's kind of like in this part of this subconscious right now that this person that committed all these murders kind of controls, for all these dead people. He now finds a way to control them. And then, well, we find out ultimately that all these dead people that are not coming after Batman are ones that, the individuals that Batman couldn't save. Batman saves some people, he does a lot, but for all the people he does save, there's a large contingent of the people that he was not able to save, whether just being one man, just not enough time, just unable to be everywhere. And these are people that beg for Batman's help in their last minutes of their life. Batman just not able to be there to save them, and now they have a grudge initially with Batman, obviously because they couldn't save him. But this is how this person, this cop that comes back to life in this altered reality, is able to kind of manipulate all these people against Batman. And the rest of the story is, again, Batman just kind of running down the case, trying to defeat this individual who's committed the suicide cop, who's obviously his backstory is quite unique. But I like it. You can kind of see in this scene right here in the book, the Batman's getting ready to enter the room, and then the way the suicide worked is he opened the door. The suicide, he hung himself, but the rope is rigged with the door, so as soon as he opened the door, enabled him to commit suicide, break his neck before Batman could do anything. But now this is kind of like going back in time a little bit. Batman's in this altered reality where he sees himself going into the door that opens up to the apartment, which obviously leads to the person who commits suicide. But this is like Batman in an altered spirit seeing himself right here. And this is where Dead Man kind of tells him, hey, we have a way here to kind of alter the history and all this, prevent all this, the undead things that you're seeing and whatnot. It's a good twist. Again, the cop, Rook, I think his name is, turns out to be actually really well done by Steve Niles. And again, the art, it's just fantastic in this. Again, I mentioned before that you do see Robin. Robin does show up in this. Again, some really great art, Batman dealing with the undead. But one undead person who shows up and kind of saves Batman as he's getting swarmed by all these zombies is Robin. And I love the art behind, if I can get to it. Yeah, here he is. The dead Jason Todd coming back, and he mentions the fact that he knows that Batman tried to save him, but he was too late. Obviously, this goes into the death of the family story. But Jason does kind of show up here in a dead version, kind of helps Batman, and we find out the twist behind the cop, which was really grim. It doesn't really go on only for a couple pages. I'm just showing you kind of pictures, but you kind of have to read the dialogue to kind of figure it out. It was a good twist, and this is where Batman kind of figures out, and he puts two and two together. Made some great art in this. Through one other person who shows up, and I'm just going to shut it right there. The other person who shows up real quickly, and kind of helps Batman finally put two and two together with the help of Dead Man, how to end this big murder mystery with the undead, kind of put it to rest. So overall, I thought the art was great, the colors were awesome. Steve Niles did a really good job balancing horror with detective work in this story. And it's real quick. It's a quick read. I reread this morning as I was actually getting my oil changed. I was done right before the car was even done. I was like a little less than an hour. Breeze through this. The visuals are great. The story's great. Just a couple of the things I would say. I mean, the way that Batman kind of gets stuck in this alternate reality with the way the cop kind of drugs him, kind of puts him. It was kind of to be honest. And the Joker, while he was at this, felt there was like the gratuitous Joker cameo. That's kind of obligatory at some points. But putting those two aside, again, if you can deal with a really good horror story, this was so much fun. And this is one I do not hear a lot of people talking about, and I don't know why. Another bummer about it is the price. This is 3 issues, and it's not really a thick story at all. This trade is $18, so for 3 issues, maybe done in a prestige format originally, might seem kind of steep, but I do think the story you're getting is worth it. So for whether I have to recommend this or not, I guess I should give it a score. I'm giving this a I'll go as far as a 4 out of 5. This was fun. This was just really fun. This was just right up my wheelhouse again. Horror, detective work. You get some good cameos in here. You get Batman taken out of Gotham a little bit, but you still get the characteristic and the story that fits. It was just fun. 4 out of 5. Would I recommend it? This is where I kind of I don't know if this one's out of print yet or not. I just don't see it a lot in any of the stores. So this one, I think you might have to eBay it, and with eBay, you're gonna pay the piper a little bit. So this one, if you come across it, absolutely. If you come across it for anything less than $20, I would say even $20 including shipping. Jump all over it. This was a fun read. Again, it's kind of, I'm putting in a continuity because I think it makes sense. But this is one you can kind of just pull out and just read it for what it is. And it's a real fast story. Great to look at. Great concept. Just overall, just fun. But yeah, if you're paying anything more than $20 for the book, I would say focus on other Batman books first, then kind of come back. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Batman Gotham County Line. A very fun story, and just a treat to read and look at. Hit me up in the comments below if you read this book before. We'll bat chat and kind of go from there. And we'll see what next video brings us. We'll see. Still waiting my books for this week. Maybe I'll get some thoughts on Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 25. We'll see. Well, we'll see. Until then, take care.